Cool. Okay. Hi, everybody. So this is gonna be a quick stream that I had written up and was thinking about doing for safe jumps for jams, specifically for the Discord. But I mean, this would be helpful for just about anybody that you know just wants to pick up the character or as like a general thing. This is gonna be very jam specific, but like it'll it'll help a little bit if you just don't know what a safe jump is. But yeah, so we'll get right into it. Um, so what is a safe jump? A safe jump is a meaty jump in that you do on Oki. Basically, when you knock somebody down, you do like a jump with a move, an air move that would hit meaty. And the thing about it um, is you're essentially canceling the recovery of the jumping attack by landing and then immediately blocking. And this is just like off of the dust loop, so that's like a great place as well to get resources if need be. So what does a safe jump do? What is it specifically? What does it beat? And the thing that's most commonly used for is baiting DPs like Souls VV, Volcanic Viper, or just about any other DP in this game. Um, but it also beat other things that have like some startup on your opponent's wake up like supers. You'll end up sometimes blocking gold burst if like, your opponent's doing like wake up gold burst, or just in general, it'll also beat most of the time. Depending, this kind of depends on the normal and like what your opponent's pressing. Like it'll beat some buttons, like especially 2Ps often, but some characters like have a really good 5H or something that if they're trying to mash on wake up, you might still depending, right? Or if you mistime it slightly, but that's kind of a whole nother. Usually that's not the you can just meaty them with a regular ground normal to catch that, but sometimes you will catch somebody mashing. What does a safe jump not beat? It does not beat blitz, backdash, or like other than those two options, if you do safe jumps with like delayed air dash, and especially if you're either using a move that doesn't reach far enough down or your opponent has enough time to like jump and do something else, you can get air thrown out of it, you can get 5P, 6P, 8 in general out of it. So for that, that's a thing to keep in mind as well. So how would you do a safe jump? On a knockdown where you have enough time to do a jump and come down with a button, whether it's just like a straight up and down jump and land, or a jump and then air dash for whatever reason, which is like the two main things that I'm going to be focusing on. I don't want it to show the combo recipe. I'm glad I realized. Okay. Um, so you would do that on one of those knockdowns, and then as you're coming up, essentially, as you're coming down, you're pressing some button. In Jam's case, one of her best normals for doing safe jumps is JH, so that's the most common one. You can theoretically do it with just about any normal, but sometimes the hitbox is not long enough or it doesn't reach far enough down, and like it won't work. JH is a very good button for doing safe jumps, at least when you're first starting out. But right as you hit the ground, you're essentially just holding down back, so 1 or 4, and you can block it regular blocking, but it's my suggestion that you get in the habit of doing down back FD. Um, that's kind of what I tend to do immediately after hitting the JH. Or like that's what my hands are doing, depending. And you can still confirm off of that if you see that they got hit. But generally, that's a good habit to make, I think, because if for whatever reason something randomly happens, a safe jump fails or whatever, or something happens, down backing will save you from getting just like hit by somebody mashing a 2K or something if they're doing that for whatever reason, or a sweep or something. And FDing will save you from being chipped out. Like if you did a safe jump with like 1 health and not enough to block chip, and you were regular blocking instead of FD blocking, um, you're gonna get hit by the DP and it's gonna chip you to death, which you do not want, obviously. So that's probably a good habit to try to build. Um, so yeah, the falling, jump JH, or whatever normal, hold down back FD. Um, The other thing that's worth mentioning, and something that'll make kind of more sense when you see in matches with certain players, but some people will time their safe jumps by whiffing normals. So it kind of just gives you a better idea of like when you're, whiffing a normal, have a certain amount of, uh, recovery to it, and then in that time, if for example you're mashing the button that you want to safe jump with, there's some setups where you can kind of time it that way, similar to how like people kill frames in Street Fighter or whatever, like time meaties by whiffing a standing punch or something like that. It's kind of a similar idea, and it bleeds over a little bit sometimes into other aspects of play, but that's if you see somebody doing that, that's not like it's not a requirement or anything, but that's why somebody might be doing that. That's why I do it. So yeah, you can do that, but it's not necessary really, unless you want to do it. Certain setups, so like 4-6 PP on Sol while he's in the air, have auto safe jump timing, and that's actually the example that we're going to use because it's the one that's like the most accessible. It's really easy to start from because essentially the setup basically is just you're immediately holding up after you do the 4-6 PP. So you jump as soon as you possibly can, basically. And then as you're doing that, when you jump, you're whiffing a rising JH, and that times it essentially so that by the time you recover from the first JH, you're starting the second one at a time where it would be meaty, but you're also low enough to land immediately after and recover from it, in theory. So that's a good place to start because it's like auto timing essentially. But obviously, there's adjustments you sometimes have to make, and we're going to talk about that a bit later. But we'll start with the basics. So like we talked about, rising JH, falling JH is very common as like a timing tool, and it's a very common like safe jump, passage. Rising JS is one that I do a lot because it recovers slightly quicker, so it'll let you kind of have more flexibility with what you want to do basically, and if you want to mess with timings or do anything weird. And actually, the timing for Whispering a Rising JS, it's for me kind of helps to place like air dash setups a little bit better. I don't know if that's like if that's the actual thing, or it's just how I've kind of gotten used to doing it. But if you're having trouble with that, give that a try, and it might help to some degree. So we'll start with the most basic stuff. I'm using the Rev2 reversal tool, and to be honest, the only other time I've used it was writing the script for this stream, so I might be fumbling around with it a little bit. You might see stream elements change and things like that, but please just do bear with me, and we'll get it set up. So Sol is like the most common one that I've talked to people about, because it's particularly frustrating, I think, getting hit by Sol HVV because he really does not want to respect your Oki. You're just meeting him over and over with 5k, you're doing whatever, and he just like does not want to seem to want to block, so he's just hitting you with it. And it's also a very universal setup we have on this character in particular. Just some like background information I'm going to run through like real quick. His wake up timing is 25 up, 25 frames getting up if he's knocked face up, and 21 if he's face down. H Volcanic Viper, which is the quicker startup one, is 5 frames, SVV is 7. There's setups that'll work against both, but that's just to give you a decent idea. So I'm going to do the setup first really quick before I even get into testing with the tool. But essentially, there's two we're going to talk about. The first one is a very, very basic setup for auto timing, and it involves hitting, like I said earlier, you're hitting Sol with essentially a combo into 2H 4-6 PP. And the thing about it is it doesn't really work that well when he's at ground level because he doesn't fall from high enough. So like the time it takes him to fall, right, needs to be a little bit longer before he goes into the knockdown state so that you can recover from 4-6 PP a little bit. And in that time, you have time to jump and then just fall back down. So the setup we're going to use, it's basically just going to be to give him a little bit more height, 2D, Roman cancel, and then you launch them up with a close slash or whatever button of your choice, and then from here we do the safe jump. So that's obviously just this is just an example kind of for tutorial to get you set up with it as quickly as possible. You can obviously do a lot more into the combo. You could do it off of like a, a full. In fact, this situation comes up very commonly because you'll be doing some kind of confirm into a combo, and then the opponent will end up in the air. So if I was doing like a, oh no, it doesn't work. We'll just do it simple. 6H. Whatever your ender is, in the air from a Ryujin or a Gekiden carded, that's a very common ender is like something 2H46PP. So this is for those situations essentially, but we're gonna cut out all of the like extraneous stuff from the beginning. I'm just gonna make it 2D RC dash close slash 46PP jump, and I do JS JH, but that's just like force of habit because I do JS more often. We're gonna try to do it with JH JH, but forgive me if my hands betray me. So let's see. Oh, I gotta turn on the stupid reversal tool. Hold on. So you got him 6.2, 6.2, exclamation point 3H. Enable, and I'm actually gonna enable him with 100% just so that we get the setup of it first, and we can kind of see. And then after that, we're gonna talk about confirming and how to kind of do that. And react to whether or not they got hit, but first off, so let's do it. He's gonna mash DP. Oops. Wow, yeah, I need a delay. And just like you saw, you hear the JH come out, and you'll see like her kind of in this animation at the end right there, and then it just turns into a block because you're canceling out of the recovery basically with your landing. And there's some landing recovery, and you're just FDing. And I'm gonna do it with JS as well, just so you see how it looks. Oh, that was too early. Yeah, there it is. So once you get used to this is more so for if you're just now starting to learn safe jumps. Once you get used to the kind of the way that it works and the feeling of like, do the normal block, do the normal block. Once you get the mechanics of it down, one thing that can help you kind of practice for real matches that I'm going to do right now, if I can get to the bot. I'm going to disable it, and then I'm going to turn it down rather to 50%. So he's going to mash DP on wake up like every other time, or 50% of the time. So in the situation, I'm not sure how well I'd be able to do this because to be honest, I haven't played Exert in a little bit. But essentially, this is kind of just like the blocked versus hit practice. If you turn the dummy on to get hit randomly, sometimes blocking, sometimes not, and it'll help you kind of train reacting to see if the JH hit, whether it was a normal hit or a counter hit, and then confirm. It doesn't have to be a big confirm. In fact, a lot of the time it might not be. But if you get something into another knockdown, like another 2D or something, you get 2D card, that's already big. So we'll see. It's a bit late. That was a bit late. Definitely late, but he's also not DPing, which is weird. I guess it's not, but there's the DP. All right. There we go. That's better. Dang, the delay. That's been happening a little bit with the bot. That might be why some of the DPs aren't going through. Some of them are hitting perfect timing. I've been trying to like disable and re-enable if I have to, if I see that the timing is off. Like if you see him wake up and then DP like a couple seconds later, timing's a little off. So I'm not exactly sure how to troubleshoot that, but oh, bad. Oh, yeah, a little bit late. I'm kind of like micro dashing a little bit, which is um, it's pretty tight, especially like depending on the height. So in this case, I tend to micro dash because the characters that I play mostly require it, but um, here it's kind of causing problems. Also, that's the one thing I didn't mention it quite as much, but you saw it happen just a moment ago. So sometimes if you're too low when you do the JH or whatever normal you're doing, if it doesn't go through the startup, it won't be meaty. So, I wonder if I can do it on Soul. Nah, I guess it depends. But like, essentially if you're like in this kind of situation, the hitbox of it might not even come out, period, because you're just too low. Like you can hear her making the noise as if she's doing JH, but there's not like certainly a hitbox. And sometimes you'll see that happen. Usually if that happens and they're DPing and you did the setup correctly, as long as you're FDing, you should still block it. It's just that there was no normal there. Yeah, there's the delay. Okay, I'm gonna like reset it real quick and see if that does anything. Cause that's kind of wacky. Okay. Oops. And that one was actually a confirm. Even though there's like a little bit of FD flicker, if you're quick enough, like JH has enough untech that you can. Yeah, and that time it whiffed. And there's the DP block. Yeah, and I hesitate a little bit before, because I'm not just holding up. Oops. Oh my gosh. Still some weird delay. We're gonna try to do our best with what's there with the bot, but for some reason, sometimes like a little bit of delay. I didn't do it that time. You might want a little bit of delay actually right before jumping. That seems to, I thought it was like auto time. Maybe it's because of the height and because I'm getting him kind of high. And that's a confirm into it. So yeah, that's kind of, okay, to move on. That's basically how you would kind of drill it. Safe jumps versus safe jumps and confirming. I'm clearly a little rusty. But that's a good point to start. The other setup that kind of is a little less frequently used, we talk about using 46pp a good amount we talk in the Discord about it, but the other one that I use a lot is off of 2D, basically, and it can be just about anything into 2D as long as you're not pushed out far enough to get like an air dash in. So essentially, let's look at it. Mid-screen, yeah, whatever 2D into... Actually, I should disable the bot real quick just so I can show just the setup. So let's disable this. And then pause. So basically it's, you end in whatever 2D and then you're essentially doing a jump into an air dash. And a good measure for where you want that air dash to hit is like, if this is the arc, this is like the peak of her jump, about halfway down. So you go through a full jump and then when you're about halfway down before hitting the ground, that was a little high. Then you do the same thing. And that gives you a good amount of JH. You can delay the JH as well a little bit. But depending on where you are, you can do it with different not trajectories, but like different distances. And as long as you're like in front of him when he starts the getting up motion, you shouldn't go over him. If you do it too quick, you might go over and get hit by DP going the other way. But you can also like jump back and do it. I mean, you can do it in any direction, right? And there's also some fun things you can do off of a setup like that with like a cross up or, same side. And that's something we'll talk about later. But for just the purposes of doing the safe jump, this is a a good other setup to have kind of in your back pocket in case you need to, you think you need to bait it mid-screen or even in the corner, because it works the same way. So I'm gonna enable the bot, and we're gonna try to hit the setup. Actually, I'm gonna have the bot. I'm gonna have this pause before I do this, just in case that's a thing. And now we should be enabled. Okay. So let's give it a try. Oops. Oops. Little late on the timing. That's closer to what it should look like. And that's a bit closer, yep. Yep, there it goes. Just like that. Mid-height. You can even kind of like do it at different heights to some degree. Like, it doesn't have to be exactly in the middle. But it's really just whatever you're comfortable with. It shouldn't be too high is the only danger, because when you're higher up, you'll risk kind of... I guess if you delayed enough, you don't want to be late. You'd rather be a little bit early, right? You might hit the JH, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit later. There's other problems with like countermeasures to safe jumps that are worse if you're higher in the air as opposed to lower. Oh, nice. Cross up. So that's kind of the thing, right? Do it from jump back, do it from straight up. That's a little bit harder, but yeah, see, I'm doing a little bit higher. Oops. I guess it has to be a little bit lower if you're gonna do it with like straight on jump. Nice. Okay. And then I wonder if I can get the cross up. Yeah, it's a safe jump and a cross up. Yeah. And then did I say same thing with this? Not cross. Yeah. And you'll kind of like start to see the timing of it a bit better and be a bit better able to judge kind of where you need to be in terms of height and from how low you can do it, how long you still have to air dash. The more you get comfortable with like delaying your air dash, the more you can do it at like very low heights or do kind of like way wackier things. So that's a good example. Bad. Yep, a little bit late. And some of that has to do as well with like when you cancel the 2D, because there's a good window where you can cancel 2D. I guess if you were like knew that's what you wanted to do, like you knew I'm gonna do 2D and then safe jump this dude, it's a little bit easier and it'll give you more freedom. But even if you, I think even if you hit like a pretty late one, if you got the air dash fast enough, you might be able to kind of like oops your way into like, oh, I didn't realize, you know, they're blocking 5K or whatever thing, and then they suddenly get hit by the 2D. You might be able to, but it's kind of like a little bit tighter. But yeah, that's the 2D safe jump. And this obviously is kind of a situation where normally you'd be like hitting some random confirm and you're kind of just buffering, you know, whatever, 2D, you might be buffering card if you think they're going to get hit, or you can even kind of sometimes react quickly. Not as much, but for whatever reason, I guess all I mean to say about this is like you're inherently giving up a card for this, but wow, random DP. You're giving up a card for this, and you're giving up the ability to do that on the knockdown, but at the same time, if you already have cards, if you already have meter, if you're really just trying to run your offense, safe jumps, especially as like a pressure tool in Oki to kind of keep yourself safe while also continuing to try to assert your offense is not a bad idea. But to be honest, I would prioritize a card over overdoing it off a 2D. But this is a good setup to have for when you're already kind of in there and you get a random hit off a 2D mid-screen. So I know... Huh. So I guess I have this as a note, and I was thinking about showing this, but to be honest, I'm gonna give you the info because Kai is the other one I was gonna talk about that has like a very similar, just as another example, like his frame data is very similar on both Wake Up and on like the DP itself. So actually his is a lot slower, but regardless, he also kind of has just like a really bad DP. So it's almost not even worth showing because there's other things you can do to bait it. Like in Kai's case, because you can kind of low profile it. Some people catch it with 5H. Some people catch it with a really well placed 2K. Personally, I safe jump it all the time. Yeah, I'm just gonna whatever. It's fine. We're just gonna do it real quick just for funsies. While it's loading. Kai is 23, 21, face up, face down. So 23 on face up, Wake Up, 21 on face down. H Vapor Thrust is 11 frame startup. S Vapor Thrust is 9. If I recall correctly, H just has, other than the arc, because HVT, if it hits you, will send you kind of like diagonally up and away. SVT will send you directly up, which is really good for him on counter hit because he'll get like mid-screen combos, whatever. Other than the frame difference, I think there's more invul on SVT. Or no, it's just faster startup and the invuls. That's definitely something you should like look at the wiki for, because I'm full of shit, so whatever. But we'll just do that on Kai. 100. Let's see. Oh yeah, all the same setups work on him. So 2D RC and 2D jump cancel should both work the same way. We'll see. A little bit late, but I don't know if that was the bot or that was me. Yeah, that time the timing was good, but my JH was a little bit late. Oh, and that's... Do I have it set to 50? I have it set to 100%, but it didn't DP. Oh no. The bait was good, not enough meaty frames on the JH, so we'll try it differently. And sometimes it'll just cross them up because of something to do with like how it's... Oh, and you can... Oh, I forgot to mention, that's something you can do with momentum too. Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be in the corner. Especially on characters where you can get a micro dash. That was kind of far, but so it wouldn't work super well as a safe jump. But especially in positions like this where you have like enough time to like put in a micro dash. Like if the safe jump setup is an auto timing, you can't do this as well because you really need a micro dash to get your momentum going towards the other side of the screen. But on people with... That's so wacky. Yeah, it'll do that sometimes. Oops. Got delayed a little bit too. Because it's hitting at like PK timing. And I have enough time to flash FD. Why is it not doing that? Did it not detect the... Oh, maybe it's because I didn't... I think you're supposed to put it in pause and then disable... And then like change characters and then, you know, reload the bot. Let's see if it does it now. Now is it confirm? It shouldn't. I'm gonna see if I can reload real quick. I'm gonna like, I guess I should have gone to character select. I'm gonna disable the bot, go to character select, pick Kai, and then I think there was something in the documentation about like it works better if you, or it like will load more reliably if you do that, or at least you have to have it paused. I could be making stuff up though, because yeah, like I said, I could be full of shit. But look at the documentation and see. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Hey, there he is. Okay. Oh wait, I have to, yeah. So I'm gonna pause it, enable it, and I have it doing, I'm gonna disable it. I have it doing HVT, I'm gonna have it doing SVT, because I think, or no, I think I think HVT is probably the one to do. It's a little bit slower. We'll try both, I guess. I don't know. But I have a lot more time to like actually micro dash it because it's so much slower. So in that case, because his DP is slower and his wake up is like slightly different, I'm gonna do a little micro dash in front of it. Let's do it with SVT. SVT is quicker. That still works pretty good because like even SVT is like SVT, what did I say it was? SVT is 7 frames. HVV is 5. Like if your setup works on HVV, it'll probably work on SVT just fine. Oops. Why did it not do it that time? Whatever. I guess that's my 50-50 right there. Is there a way to get safe jump after doing 2D 2-2x? That's a good question. that DP was like 6 full seconds too late. To be honest, I don't think there is. No, because there's not enough time. Like 2D card charge. I guess. How would you even? Because this is the point where you'd have to YRC it, right? Well, you're not even YRCing the move. You're just like doing a YRC, and it's not going to give you enough time to do like a full jump or even like maybe with an IET. I don't know. That's not something I've tested, to be honest. No, I wouldn't try it. Yeah, the Kai color. I don't think there's a setup. I could be wrong. Somebody out there show me a 2D 2-2x setup. I'll go back and put it in this video, but yeah, let's figure it out. So if I do, because that'll give me a knockdown for sure. I wish this thing would actually just do a DP for me. Maybe I'll restart this tool. Okay. I don't know why I didn't think to do that. 6, 2, 3 exclamation point 3s. Enable. Full screen. Alright, is it gonna do it? Do the thing, do the thing. There we go. So let's see. So Papa Hours 2410, thank you for the idea. That's Papa Hours 2410. I guess that's a thing you could theoretically do, right? If you really, really want like a card and the 2D knockdown, right? In theory, yes. At least in this particular situation against Kai SVT with 2D, yeah. With HVV, I don't know how big that gap is here, where it's like, in this case it works. SVT is a little bit slower. If Soul HVV is fast enough, it could potentially kill you for trying to do that. But also it's a lot of meter to spend on basically a card and a station, which I guess isn't bad. You know, maybe that's a thing you do. Maybe that's a thing people start doing. I guess whatever I guess you want out of that setup, if it fits your criteria for what you're trying to put in your game plan, it may very well be something you want to do. So the setup that you can do off of 2D with Kai as well, basically suffice it to say, kind of the same setup that was working on Soul earlier with 2D into like a delayed air dash is gonna work the same way with SVT with Kai. So that's an option as well. To be honest, I was talking about this a bit earlier, but the reason why I wouldn't necessarily gravitate towards doing that setup with card is because you can get a safe jump off 2D, and you're kind of giving up a card, but it's also 50 meter that you have that you can pull a card off of anything else. Like, for example, if you could do, you know, you might get a card off of something like spending meter to do a combo, and then you get a charge, right? There's 50, like that 50 meter can be applied in other ways that are more like directly beneficial usually, but like I said, if it fits your criteria and you feel like that's a good thing to do, totally do it. 50% of the time now, huh? Or it's just failing. Delayed DP? No, the bot's like just not working. Let's restart it real quick. Disable, enable. Okay. So yeah, same setup works. That's really all we need to say on that. The next character that we're gonna, so I guess to wrap that up, those are some setups you can do to kind of just get your foot in the door when it comes to safe jumps and learn kind of how to do them and why they're important, and or if it's something you want to use, right? That's kind of where you can start. So we're going to talk about the same way that we did with the PK theory combo video, or the PK theory video. We're going to talk about how to adjust when the one size fits all safe jump does not work. So theoretically, and this is something maybe I should have mentioned earlier, but like you can do a safe jump off of a lot of different things that you can think of, maybe ones that aren't even a specific setup. Like it doesn't need to be a setup as long as you can kind of do some amount of, you know, the fastest one would probably be like an IED timing. As long as you have enough time to time an IED, you'll probably have enough time to do a safe jump off of even just a random hit that you've never done it off of before, which is something that like I regularly try to do. But to understand how that would work, you need to know how to time something outside of the one size fits all. So we're going to talk about timing for slower wake ups and DPs, and timing for faster wake ups and DPs or reversals. So we're going to go to Leo. And then I'm going to disable I'm going to go to character select and then disable the bot. And let's see. Who dares to enter the game? Oh, thanks. I'm glad it helped. This is a video I definitely needed to do, but did not for whatever reason. And this will hopefully be a decent guide in the future. I haven't decided if I want to cut this down and clip stuff out or shorten it up or do whatever, but we'll kind of see depending on how much effort I want to put into the VOD. But if we hit everything on that first, you know, little bit, maybe just leave it as is. So we're in with Leo. Gonna start the bot, and the command that I have for it. Do I have it? Oh, here. Oh wait, no. I think the way that it works is you just have to set it to, yeah, thanks Amadeus, because you were the one who told me this. We're gonna set Leo, because Leo has a charge DP, so we just have to set him to crouch, and then the bot is just always basically holding down. So now, if we set it so that he's doing that, or paused, the input is just going to be exclamation point 8H, right, for stream? Oh, let's give the data for Leo. Leo's 28 frame face up, 26 frame face down. H flash kick is 8 frame startup, S flash kick is 5 frames. We're going to test both of them real quick. They should both work very, very similarly, but obviously small adjustments here and there for frames might be needed. Oh, here's the thing we wanted to work through. So I'm going to have Leo mash actually for H, because I want it to simulate as if he was doing like a throw to kind of illustrate something. So if we were to do the same setup on Leo, what happens? And you already are gonna know what happens, basically. Okay. Oh, I didn't enable it. I'm an idiot. So if we do the same setup on Leo, let's see. Or not that one. Come on. Or I'm an idiot. So what essentially happens is, because he's not even up yet, like he doesn't even have a hurt box yet because he's still in the wake up animation, what'll happen is your JH, even if it comes out, is gonna whiff like right down here because you're just doing JH, and then you're in landing recovery, you can't really do anything. And if they're just mashing throw and you mess up your safe jump because it's too fast, you just get thrown. And we're going to touch on this a little bit more later, but like if you get thrown out of a safe jump like that and you're pretty sure you didn't mess up the timing of the normal or anything like that, the most likely thing that happened is the character you're fighting just has a slower wake up than what, the sole standard of wake up HVV would be. So what do you do about that? Well, I might have already mentioned this. When you have more time before your opponent wakes up, you can move more beforehand. So you can take like a good running start. Do like a delayed. There's a little micro dash there. I wonder if I can time it so that it hits him correctly. Yeah, there. And then it should look like that once you actually do the safe jump and they're still mashing 4H because they're like, oh, you fucked up the safe jump. So, okay, now we've proven to our opponent that we can do a safe jump correctly with good timing. So what happens then? He's like, are you sure? 8, or wait, which one has the faster? It's just like 8. We'll do it with H. We'll do H flash kick first. Okay. Enabled. Let's test. Do a DP. Hey, there we go. So, do the setup. 2d46pp dash. There it is. You notice how there's like a little running start there. It's because I have to kill some time. There's other ways you could probably do it. I don't know. But that's like the immediate answer for me, right? It's easy to just do like a little light micro dash and then jump it. Depending on like how much slower the wake up is, obviously you don't have to micro dash necessarily. You could just stand here and like manually time it. But micro dash, yeah, there's a manual timing one. Like I said, you don't have to do a micro dash. To me though, because it's like a frame kill in a way if you do it correctly, it's easier to do it that way. Plus, it becomes a little bit more important later on if you want to do something like safe jump at mid-screen or coming from mid-screen to the corner. That one might have been a little bit too far, so if I get a little closer. You see, like, you'll get more distance than if you just did straight jump. Because if you do a straight jump, you're ending right here. If I do a micro dash jump, I can get all the way in the corner. So maybe just get in the habit of doing micro dash. You don't have to, but I would strongly recommend it. So that's that setup. The same with this. I wonder. Yeah, I guess it's a little easier to do that way mid-screen because you can do a micro dash. I think the 2D setup should still work, but now I'm doing the air dash like real low, and that for that setup is kind of how you have to do it. You have to be like low enough that you're basically about to you're like real low to the ground, like your feet are almost touching the ground when you do this. And you're basically going through like as many frames of your jump as you can before you like add more to it by air dashing. Oh yeah, that is a setup. That's a real good point, Amma. So we'll do some kind of confirm and then do it off of charged Ryujin, which you can safe jump off of. You can safe jump off of a DP as well, like a charged DP or a charged Ryujin. I guess I didn't really think to mention that. I'm glad you did. Or just off of a regular, yeah. Oh, did I miss? Oh, because I was on the other side. Okay. And then, yeah, the safe jump works the same way. For things that, to be honest, this setup off of 2D, where you do like a delayed air dash, is a lot easier to work with in terms of doing safe jumps off of things that you're not sure whether or not you can do safe jumps off of. Oops. So I don't know if this is gonna work. Oh, you didn't deep. Why didn't you not DP? I don't think that would have worked though. That was too late. Do I have to reset the bot again? Disable. Exclamation point 8H. Enable. Alright, let's get it. Yeah, sure. That works. That works just fine. And the longer your opponent takes to get up, the more freedom you have to do just random junk on safe jump. So that's the slow adjustment. That's how you would kind of deal with it. Either just sit there and wait, or walk forward, or whatever, or microdash. Okay, fast adjustments. I wonder. I don't have frame data on Faust, but I was thinking about whether or not that's faster or slower. So I guess I'll just kind of like lay it out. The adjustment for a character that has a faster wake up is it's you just essentially air dashing faster. So you do it sooner so that you have less to come down. Like you do your air dash and it comes out, and then you're basically just like there's less recovery in a way than doing like a full up and down jump. So if you do it sooner in the jump than you normally would, as opposed to like this setup where you do it like halfway down. I really need a character to showcase this off. I don't wonder why I didn't think to do that. Do 4-6 PP setup from 2D, but mid-screen. Neutral. So, oh, I have notes here about like how you can do that. Microdash IED is something that we talked about earlier, and that's like, this is the quickest safe jump that you could possibly do. So essentially, like, any more frames of jumping than this, which is almost nothing, that's kind of a good adjustment. So you can, do a jump and then like immediately air dash, or do one at max height. That's kind of like where you can start, maybe see like what this does, what max height into that. If it's still too fast, you might have to adjust, or if it's not fast enough, do it lower, and that'll kind of show. I wonder. I don't particularly want to sit here and like look through the dust to see if I can find an example, but that's just so you know kind of the way that you would adjust for a faster wake up DP. So at this point, we've kind of described it, but just to go through it one more time because I have it here in my notes. How do I know if I messed up the safe jump? So if you got hit by the DP, the super, the whatever, if you get IB thrown or air thrown or whatever, you're doing it too late. And I had a recording here. Let me see if I remember why I even had this recording. I'm going to switch to Soul, disable this bot. And then I remember I made a couple of recordings with Jam, but I'm not exactly sure what they were supposed to showcase, but we'll see. But I have this as part of this whole idea. But just while that's loading. If you got DP'd, if you got super'd, if you got whatever'd, oh, this might have been to showcase IB throw. Sorry. if you got hit by the thing you're trying to safe jump, you're doing it too late. Air dash sooner if you're doing a setup that requires you to do like 2D air dash or whatever to do a jump air dash somewhere within that arc. And if basically you're just trying to jump sooner as well, if that's an option. Don't micro dash. If you're doing a micro dash like on Sol and it's not working, you might just not be able to micro dash. You might not have enough time, so you might have to just jump quicker or instantly jump. And as well, remember to do JH as late as possible, because that kind of factors into it a little bit as well. You don't want to be doing it too high up. So let's see, recording 3. I think this was the... Do I not have that button mapped? Oh, it didn't save my recording 3. Well, let's see. We'll just do it live. So I want to record a version of me doing the safe jump, but like too late, so I can show that you would get thrown, basically, if you're too high or if you're doing it too slowly. So I'm going to put a little... that's not right. I'm going to put a little, like, micro dash in between there, which you can't really do. And then record. Okay. Playback. Oh, not close enough for that, but it won't be a safe jump if I'm not mistaken. Oh, wait, it is. Okay, we'll super delay. Oops. What about this one? Does this still work? Maybe I just messed up the input. No, that doesn't. Okay. So now is this one that we can... Yeah, that makes sense. That doesn't work. What would I do here if I was Sol? Oh, it was just too far. Okay. But yeah, I mean that's one that's too slow, and you can kind of see it. Ah, I wish that worked. That would be so sick. That would be so sick if it worked. Oh, I know that'll work. That'll work, but I'm not gonna sit here and spend time doing it. I'm gonna do it one more time though. Oh, I haven't practiced enough Sol to just do that. But yeah, so that, get DP'd, get supered or whatever. Super would probably work on it. Maybe. Super's a little bit slower. I'm not sure if it would work. But yeah, that's just to kind of show an example of what something might look like if it was too slow. On the other hand, if you're getting ground thrown or you're getting mashed out, that means you're doing it too late. Or no, that means you're basically doing it too soon. Sorry, I like messed up the note. You're doing it too soon, and your opponent hasn't woken up yet. Yeah, we talked about this earlier. You're doing it too soon. Your opponent hasn't woken up yet out of the like their wake up animation and done whatever. So in that case, you would delay air dash slightly so that you're just in the air a bit longer, or you take some time micro dash. We kind of went over this a little bit earlier, so I'm not going to go super deep into it. But we showed that with Leo and the throw. So that's kind of just adjustments for, what different safe jumps look like and how to determine if, your setup is too slow or too fast or how to just kind of better understand theory behind safe jumps and how to figure ones out if you don't want to do just the canned ones that we have. So now the thing I want to talk about is countermeasures. So, let's talk about countermeasures. Things that will beat safe jumps. We talked about this a little bit earlier at the beginning. Blitz is kind of the primary one because it's very effective against safe jumps, sometimes even delayed ones because there's a good amount of frames that you can blitz and attack. So sometimes my delayed IED setups will even get blitzed, even though that's kind of like something I'm trying to call out by waiting for the blitz and then counter hitting it. So what? Oh, here's what we'll do. I'm gonna set myself as jam. I'm gonna set the opponent as soul just cause, and then we're gonna have him do exclamation point 5SH. And let's just test that that works first. Oh, what the heck is this doing? That's not exclamation point 5. Oh, that's... Oh, here's what I'll do. I'll go back to character select, because that's playing my... I think that's playing my thing. My recording. So let's do this. I'm going to close the bot. We'll go to color 5. And once we get in pause. Okay. Exclamation point 5 SH. Enable. Do a blitz. What the heck is going on with that? If I disable it until it's override a difference. Wait, which slot? Oh, it's because I'm playing the wrong slot. I'm an idiot. So the bot is replaying slot 3 instead of slot 1. Pause it. Enable. How about now? There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna do my stupid setup and then get my 2D. If I can do a combo. Then I get my 2D, I get my safe jump. And then he blitzes me. What do I do? That's my whole thing. I want to safe jump him, but now he's blitzing me. There's a couple good answers to this. The most simple one that's also kind of a high risk is, at this point, well, here's the theory, right? If somebody is reacting to your safe jumps and like presenting the threat of blitz on your safe jumps because you've represented them enough, at that point you might want to address that by doing a low move instead, like an empty jump low. So you, instead of doing the safe jump and doing the JH and hold back, you might even whiff it on the way up just to pretend, and then land standing 5k or standing low 5k, and we'll just do a basic confirm into it and see. So you do the safe jump, and we've done it enough. Now this person's blitzing us. Well. And then you're going to confirm. And if you have more cards and more meter or whatever, you do whatever confirm. That's just to show it works. The other thing you can do that's kind of a little bit more, some more wrinkles in your brain. You can do, in particular in this setup. If I'm doing a setup, this doesn't work as well with like the delayed air dash setup off of 2D, but like if I'm doing a setup where my safe jump setup is that does work, but I definitely mistimed it. If I'm doing a setup where the safe jump setup is a jump and a full jump arc and a fall into a normal, then I can delay it even further, like we talked about. Like as if, you know, my safe jump was too quick or something, I'm going to delay it and do a normal once that opponent is out of counter or is out of the blitz catch and into counter hit recovery from blitz. So you can do this very simply with something like JH, and we'll start with that actually, if I can do a safe jump. Can you do the blitz, please? Please? Okay. We'll do this. Restart the bot. 5SH. Enable. Let's see if it does it. And then just basic ground confirm. I got my JH. Right. And then off of that, you can do whatever. I think the dash might be a bit greedy. I don't think that'll work, but come on. And then you get a card. Or I wonder if I can do this. I have not practiced this since I wrote the scripts. Please blitz. Please, please, please blitz. Hi Storm Radio 1, how's it going? Feel free to ask your question. I might wait a little bit to address it, especially we got a little bit left that I wanted to go through, but yeah, we'll do some questions. Feel free. I don't want this crouching, to be honest. I don't know why the bot's having trouble, but we'll just make it work. Enable. Please work. Yeah, see, still. Oh, because I did the wrong setup. That's not high enough to get a PK, but it probably could be. That's too high. Do a mini PK theory video. That probably could have worked. Nah, might have to get him a little bit higher. I'm gonna try one more time just cause, but we're not gonna talk too much about getting PK. Hey, nice. So something like that'll work. Delay, air dash, normal. You can optimize it like crazy and get JS and a full 2H46 PK pickup, or you can just do the JH and get a knockdown, and like that's fine. That discouraging the threat of blitz is enough anyway. We'll probably have more plays for Strive. Trying to decide what to pre-order on PS or Steam. To be honest, the way the Guilty Gear goes, there's usually more players on the Steam version of the game, typically that'll net play it, but there's going to be a good amount of people that have it on PS4/5 just to have it for, you know, when people are going to locals and playing with, you know, people offline, or as well, I know a lot of the new players are getting into Strive, so there's probably going to be a pretty healthy scene on PlayStation, but ultimately, if I had to judge based on experience, I'm going to say Steam is probably still going to have more. But you never know. Whatever thing you get it on, it'll probably be fine. So that is... Oh yeah, that's what Blitz can kind of do to your safe jumps. Blitz is a good countermeasure to safe jump, but also it can be just like you can go to the next layer with it, and then obviously other things are going to happen once you start doing those things, because those things lose to other stuff. You can get thrown out of empty jump low, but regardless, that's kind of just the basic layer 1 and then the layer 2. The other thing that people will often do to invalidate safe jumps, or that people will try to present once you show that you're going to safe jump, which luckily I have a command for right here, is backdash into throw. That's another really good answer to safe jumps, in particular ones that do IEDs, because essentially with IED, because you can't really take an action afterwards, if you do a IED safe jump, there's a very good chance if you do them often that it'll get backdash thrown or backdashed in general mid-screen because you've kind of already expended your movement. You can't do much else. Um, so in the case though of kind of in a similar vein as here, where the main thing we're looking at is a 4-6 PP safe jump, if you're doing a safe jump off of 4-6 PP and you get backdash thrown, that leaves you with some ability to delay a little bit because you can kind of play around with your movement more. So you can delay your IED and do where you normally would the same. I mean, the same thing as with Blitz, right? It's a very similar process or a very similar idea. The big difference that's worth mentioning, I think, is that if you're doing it in response to backdash throw, there's a good chance that you, depending on the timing, might catch them out of the backdash, or you might catch them with a counter hit, uh, depending on how much you delay or don't delay, whatever. So just be ready to adjust depending on whether it's regular or counter hit. Um, and to be honest, I would recommend erring on the safer side, like err on the side of caution. Just do a regular pickup and don't worry about if you get a counter hit and it could have been more because it could have also been less. You could have gotten thrown, so don't think about it too hard. Um, let's see. So we'll set him to. I have the command. I'm probably going to publish the notes for this video too, just so that they're there as a resource. But it's basically 4, 5, and then exclamation point 4, comma, as many frames basically of that character's backdash, which in Soul's case was like 17 or 15 or something. That many 5s, comma, 4H. And that should, when I enable it at least, that should result in Soul doing a backdash into throw. Let's see. Alright, we're enabled. So let's say I do... maybe because I wasn't on... Yeah, that's the thing that should happen though. I just didn't do the safe jump correctly. Oh, yeah, he did it. Okay. Let's just test to make sure this input's good though. Yeah, it is good. Dope. So, you do the jump and then eventually they're just like, well, I'm not going to block it. Because I was holding back and I landed a little early, I ended up walking a little bit back, which kind of let me avoid having to get thrown. But that's what'll happen most of the time. So what do we do about this? Delayed IED, prep combo for non-counter hit. If it is counter hit, great. It might adjust your combo a little bit, but you can usually scramble and pick something up. What are my notes? Fast IED JPPK. Oh, so that's maybe for like a regular pickup, right? Let's see. And you didn't do it that time. Okay, let's get the bot doing the thing again. We'll work it out. Boink, enable, let's go. And that's catching the backdash. The conversion wasn't there, but we'll play around a little bit with the conversion. We'll get something. I know for sure one of these works because I was testing it out before. I'm gonna delay it quite a bit actually. Do a long microdash. So now that we did a little bit of a microdash, we can do like a decently timed delay IED with still enough time to get like a good confirm off of it if we just like a little bit more. Oh, the Ryujin whiffed, but that's what you would want, right? And in that situation, we're a little too far. Sure, that works. That's good enough. So if you delay it more though, you should be able to get a counter hit. And let's see. Yeah, because you want him in. That's not gonna work, but it will work. Okay. Please do the backdash throw. Maybe it's because I'm not in. Maybe if I try it in windowed, it might work. Let's see. Restart the bot. I don't like having to like unwindow and rewindow my thing, but we'll see. Is Eno good in Exerd? Yeah, she's pretty solid. She's definitely a good character if you're interested in her. Same thing I would say to anybody. Just pick her up, give her a try. You might like her a lot. She's got enough sauce. Heck yeah. All right, do the thing now. Yeah, he's doing it. Okay. You don't have to jump, my dude. Oh, that's my bad. Not delayed enough. So we're gonna like actually, and at this point you're doing a thing that like, if you delay the microdash enough, it's gonna get to the point where like this is a specific call out to somebody backdash throwing you. Like the regular non-counter hit. Okay. The regular non-counter hit thing that we showed is gonna be very similar to your actual safe jump setup, so it'll be like it'll be better to practice that. If you want to specifically call out, nice, delay more. That whiffed, but that's closer to what we're looking for. There we go. Not what I had in the notes, but that works. Oh no, it is. I just didn't read my own notes. But yeah, delayed that one. That specific setup I just did would probably get hit by DP, but at this point you're kind of assuming that you want a hard call out a backdash into throw if somebody's representing a lot, but that'll work. So just be careful with that. Those are the two big countermeasures. Come on, man. Those are the two big countermeasures to safe jump, and that's kind of how you can play the next layer if you decide to. Just be very careful, and we kind of mentioned this like elsewhere a little bit, especially in the Discord. Like, be careful getting really deep in the sauce with like, I'm gonna represent this, and then they do this, and then they do this, and then like moving up the layers, because you can always kind of you lose the forest for the trees, or however the saying goes, a little bit. If just kind of try to take a look at what options are being represented. If the thing that they're doing to beat your safe jump is even worse, and there's it's even more big brain, and you can find a way to kind of play around that instead, like maybe then you're trying to meaty them instead of safe jumping, or you're getting more opportunities to enforce meaty pressure. Because if they're doing wake up blitz, you could also just be doing run up Oki on them, right? Because that's a big risk, but that's at least the layers, so you have them as a tool. Your mileage may vary, but this is definitely a good starting point. Quick drills. This is going to be the last thing I talk about, because this is just things that definitely aren't necessary. By no means do you have to do this to learn how to do safe jumps, but if you're thinking, and this is something I kind of like, my playstyle as a whole incorporates a lot of safe jumps and a lot of delayed IED, in particular, because I'll do like delayed IED setups as a mix-up, and then vary the amount of hits that I do in the air string when they're blocking it to see if I can get a low after, or land in a low. Like, it's a high-low in a way, right? So I incorporate a lot of that. These are just things that have helped me that I've drilled before. So for the no IED setup, for the rising falling, just practice getting the hang of doing timing. An instant. This by itself, doing the rising JH or any rising air normal, it might be kind of difficult to get used to at first if you especially don't come from like a fighting game background, or if this is your first fighting game. Just being able to do that input, you know, holding up and then immediately, if you have to mash it out, you have to mash it out until you get the timing, right? But that's, you know, drill that. Rising JH, falling JH for timing. Where the note I have here, where the second JH hits is where you should air dash 580 set up. So we kind of talked this a little bit, but like right at the middle of her jump height basically. So this is a good visual indicator too of like where she ends up in this animation, like when it pauses during the hit stun, this is a good height. That's a very good height for safe jumps. And that's where your safe jump would normally hit, but then you're doing an ID. Rising JS, falling JH. The thing about this is that you're then kind of giving up some of your ability to time JH as low to the ground as possible automatically, because if you do an immediate JH after JS, because there's not as much recovery, you're doing JH really high up here. But the place that it puts you after you recover is a good like high height thing for very fast safe jumps, or you know, just to kind of help time a little bit. Oh wait. Yeah, so those are like the two basic things that we talked about, right? In terms of quick ways to start setting up safe jump setups. For the drills, we're gonna have Soul stand blocking in the corner. Soul block settings, everything. Sure, we just want him blocking, and I think this should work. And then you'll kind of see, you know, or rather, if we start with the first one, rising JH, falling JH. Your rising JH should hit him on the way up. Like he's stand blocking, it has the hitbox there. I'm gonna do a rising JH and then just mash JH, and then the height that the second one comes out is gonna be a good height for it to happen for a safe jump. Like in terms of you know, where it comes out, that's a good spot. Because at this height, you have enough time to recover, and it'll also like have enough of the frames where it can like pretty consistently be meaty. If you can hit both, you're probably good to do this setup. Then if you wanted to do it with JS, then you're trying to just like replicate where you're hitting that height, the second JH, but with JS. Or with JH, I should say, and JS whiffing it going up. So if you do that, now you're kind of on the way, right? If you want to get good at just in general, this is the last drill. If you want to get good at just kind of learning how to time things height-wise and how to like do very low air options, this is a really fun drill. What it's going to be is a rising JS and a falling JS first. The rising JS, the falling one's going to get blocked, and then you're going to double jump and do another rising JH and then a falling whatever, JH, JS, whatever you want to do. It doesn't really matter. But we're going to see how this looks first, and then we'll give some notes on what the drill tells you. So I'm going to do JS. That's what it should look like. You want the first JS, you want the second JS and both of your other normals to be blocked. And this one should be blocked rising up. That's too quick of a jump. So let's get into what that tells you. If you hit the second JS and can't JC, and you get 5H, perfect showing. If you hit the second JS and you can't jump cancel, and you get 5H or something, you're too low. And you need to jump a little bit sooner. this kind of situation is where you would be whiffing a normal. Like if you were doing JH and you hit it that low, you know, in a similar way, if you mistimed it that way, your JH is just not going to have a hitbox. And you're just probably going to get Mass Shatter thrown because there's landing recovery. If you hit the second JS and whiff the next JH, you either jump too soon, you hit the next JH too late to the ground, or you hit JS, the first JS, too high. So like in this case, if I do it way up here, because it's a long hitbox, it's going to whiff. And this first JS is kind of like a safe jump timing too. So it gives you a lot of practice with when to time it, how to time it. Yeah. So that's a fun drill. And this also gives you some mix-up opportunities, like one that I do often. Low, high. I think you can still... That's another overhead. That's a fun drill. So that's good for no IED setups because you're not using IEDs necessarily, and you're just kind of getting used to the timing of where in the air do I hit this thing, you know, how low can I be before I lose my ability to jump cancel, whatever. For IED setups, a drill for IED setups: reset, 669 JH whiff, IED back JH, same side, and cross up. Actually, before I talk about that, this is good practice in a way too, and it's a very short thing to do, but like practice doing micro dashes into the hop over, because this is kind of how you get the mid-screen setups where you can do micro dashes. We talked about this, like when you have the opportunity to do a micro dash, you can make a setup work even from mid-screen sometimes, especially if it's a really late wake up. You can full on like get in there, but if you miss the micro dash, you end up in front of them. That's a good way to know if you have trouble inputting it. And you can see your inputs, right? Micro dash. And you should end up like right over in the middle of that square, basically. Quick drill. Now, 669 JH whiff, IED back JH. You want it to hit same side, you want it to hit cross up. So that's cross up. That's same side. Cross up. Whiffed, but same side. And you can do this with JS as well, but it's a little bit trickier. Same side, cross up. Same side, cross up. That one's cross up. Same side, cross up. And you can try to like alternate them so you get better control. It won't necessarily work 100% of the time, but that's an interesting drill. And this is good for turning those safe jumps as well into cross-ups, but it also kind of, the main thing about this and why it's nice is it helps you with the ability to eyeball where your momentum is going, especially when they're knocked down. Like, you can see kind of like where you need to clear on Soul. It's kind of like right above his neck area. If you're above that, you should be able to get over him and do like a same side setup. And if you wait long enough to be like low, you'll do the cross up. So that'll help you kind of get used to momentum. 669 41H. And get in the habit of like, if you're gonna do that and you're gonna use that as a safe jump, be able to kind of like confirm which direction you're on so that if it does turn out, you know, that it's safe jumping something, I don't want to get hit because I'm blocking the wrong way, right? It's easier with JH though. Wow. Get in the habit of doing that, I guess. And yeah, you can also do that with kind of how we mentioned. Actually, I'm going to turn the bot off for this one because I really just want to show But that's something to note. I guess it does work better when it's in windowed. Or maybe that's just me, like, assuming. But I'm gonna do 2D jump cancel, back, forward, and then hit in front. I don't know if you can hit same side. You're probably too far back. Stand corrected. Hit cross up. Hit same side. That's gonna whiff, but like placing the normal is important. That one hit cross up. And hit same side. Can do this with regular, but like you have to, yeah, you have to. If you're doing like a regular neutral jump, it's gonna be too soon, so you need the IED there. I don't know if you can hit. You're probably not going to be able to hit a cross up off of like the neutral jump, because you'll always just kind of be like, when you start the air dash, you'll be too. But can practice doing it off a forward jump too. Might want to delay a little bit more. The same side for this one might be a little bit difficult though. I don't know if you can reasonably do it super well. That's kind of like big brain too, is like crossing over them and getting back over. But I think in the timing that you would need to do it, the air dash, you're probably always going to be, you're going to be kind of, the way that it works is like when their hitbox starts to stand up, or like the character starts to stand up, you can't go back over them if you're like gonna, if your box is gonna collide with them, I think. So once he gets to a certain point in the wake up, like once his head's up there, I can't really air dash over him, or even just before that actually. So that one might be a little bit difficult, but that'll help a little bit as well with moving yourself in the air, eyeballing, you know, which direction you want to jump if you know that you're gonna do a safe jump, and just in general, kind of get your hands moving and get you to you know, maybe eyeball some setups or just do whatever. But yeah, that's the drills is kind of the last thing I had really prepped. So that's just a general guide. And hopefully this helps. We kind of start with some basic setups. Once you have the basic setup and you can do a safe jump, dive into, you know, well, what do I do when it doesn't work? How can I adjust? And then soon you'll be doing them off of just whatever. And you can mix in the high-low mix-up and the delayed IED, and it can be a really interesting component of your game plan. And it's a really great way for Jam to deal with reversals in particular, because she doesn't really have meterless projectile Oki, so you can't really lock somebody down and say, well, if you DP, this projectile is going to kill you. So this is a good way to represent a similar threat. Granted, you are now the projectile. So yeah. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Thanks to the Jam Discord and everybody for always, you know, being in there and asking good questions and talking. I'm gonna post this up somewhere. And thanks, Amma, for stopping by and pointing out those few things, like the carded setups. I'm gonna cut the stream off here because I want to make the VOD just the thing by itself. But I'm probably, honestly, we'll see if there's matches going on. Be right